Hi, I'm Kim Dickerson, and this is my video reflection from week 4. So I was reading in our textbook, and I looked through all of our problems, the activities that we were supposed to do for this week, and I was supposed to pick one for this video. And the one that I liked was talking about making the constructions from the diagrams that were given in the textbook. But all it said was just recreate these and then talk about your students and how you would teach this, what you would anticipate them struggling with, if there's any topics that I personally thought were interesting coming from this. So I looked at all of these illustrations and I was like, you know what, these are all pretty straightforward. I personally, in teaching geometry, never teach constructions because I think they are annoying. I don't like them. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna dive into this a little bit more today to figure out how to do these, how I might teach these. And with all these, I said, I don't think these are going to help me personally because I can see very well how these came to be. So I said, I'm going to do one that the steps aren't shown for me. So on this page of the textbook, it says this is an example of some questions that you might give a 6th grader. And the copy the angle, easy. Construct this triangle, I figured out how to do that one pretty easy too. But this one, I said, copy the quadrilateral. And right off the bat, I didn't know how to do that one. So I said, I want to try to copy a quadrilateral. So I just drew a random quadrilateral here with my straight edge, just copying them down. And I said, okay, I want to redraw this, copy it down. And I decided that I wanted to do it on a separate piece of paper so that I couldn't use any of these lines connections to draw like parallel lines or anything like that. So I worked on my construction on this page. Notice I didn't finish, but I started writing some notes about the steps that I was taking. So there they are right there. And notice it got a little bit complicated. I ended up needing to, I labeled everything so I could talk about it more easily. So I have A, B, C, and D. But then in the process, I also needed to create this point X, which was on the way from A to B, so that I could have this circle with radius AD, with A as the center. X was the AD distance, but on the AB segment. It got really complicated really fast, but I persevered and I figured it out, so I have all of these points now. I have A prime, D prime, B prime, and then also X prime I needed. And then from there, I figured, okay, well, I would just need to repeat all of this on B, or B prime, so that I could figure out where C was over here, and then I could just connect, done. So that part was easy once you did it once. But take a look at all those steps. Like, it's a lot of steps. And I know the book kind of said them succinctly, but I tried to write them out so I would remember what I was doing. And this is a lot. It's a lot, and I can see why I don't like these constructions. So I have a couple takeaways and things that I think my students would be thinking. First thing, straight edge versus a compass. I discovered that I do not have a compass in my house. I have them at school, but I don't have them here. So I use the good old pencil, string, another pencil technique, which is very difficult. So make sure that when you have a compass, I guess this is number 2, compass requirements, make sure that you have a good one. Also, going up to straight edge versus compass uses. The straight edge literally has one purpose, and it's to connect things. Draw straight lines to connect things. That's it. But a compass, yes, it draws a circle, but what a compass does really is gives you a measurement. The compass was used a lot of times in my construction here to say, well, let's find this radius, and on a different picture, let's find that radius again. So you were using your compass as a pseudo measuring stick for all intents and purposes. So I thought that was interesting, that a compass drawing the circle is actually the best measurement tool that we have here. Number 3, my takeaway was that these are super dense with critical thinking. Like, look at all those steps. And they're asking a 6th grader to do that. I guess if you were taught it really well, it wouldn't be difficult, unless there was another way that I didn't see to do to make this easier. But it involved copying this angle and then copying this distance using a compass, no big deal. Copying this distance using a compass, no big deal. But then copying the angle took a lot of steps, and I would have to copy this angle again, all sorts of stuff like that. So these are really great critical thinking questions. I would definitely think This would be a doing the math classification in the, oh wait, that's a different class. Hold on. If you're also in MTED 601, we talked about the different levels of tasks, and I would think this would be a doing the math task according to Stein, because there isn't so much of a rehearsed way to do all of these constructions. But there's no context, but there is, because there's a shape. I don't know, maybe it's just procedures without connections. I'm not sure, but there's definitely a lot of critical thinking there. Then my last takeaway is there more than one way to do all of these constructions? I would think there has to be, right? I mean, just from all of these steps, I'm like, there certainly has to be another way. And I realized that there is another way to do this quadrilateral. If I had done it on the same piece of paper, I could have used one of the constructions that was shown in the book about making a parallel line and then copying an angle using a parallel line. I could have done that a couple times here. It would have worked probably a little bit easier, I would think, but I specifically wanted to try the harder one to see if I could do it, you know? So my takeaways from this construction challenge that I set for myself are there, and I talked about them a little bit. I still don't like them, not gonna lie, because I think I would struggle to teach a student how to do these, because there is a process, but also not, and it's a very visual process, which I struggle to explain how I see things to students. If there's like a logical reason why something's happening and I can show it to them, like I move this X and I subtract this 5, like they can see that happening. But if I say like, well, we're going to use this compass to make a measurement and then copy it over here, and with all of these 5 other steps, 10 other steps, that's how we're going to get the same shape. And in today's day and age, why? I could just trace this, I could just measure. All of those things are possible, so why would we need to do these constructions? So I think I would still be very scared to teach these if I was teaching geometry. But I can see why they're helpful in proofs, and they were beneficial back when measuring devices weren't as precise as they are today. So those are my takeaways from constructions from week 4.